Establishing trust. Think about that. You know, one of the things that we will have to do is not get down to business immediately until we begin to establish trust. People don't care about how much we know. They really don't. But they want to know how much we care. We always have to keep our focus on them and what is beneficial to them. How do we work for them? How do we care about them? What are we going to do to help sell that house in the shortest length of time, on the best terms, and at the best price for them? They want to hear that. Pay sincere compliments, but make sure that it's sincere. Let's not be paying compliments just to say good things, but make sure that they are very sincere compliments when you do pay them. Small talk at the kitchen table, does that not establish rapport? It certainly does. Very small talk. So in the small talk at the kitchen table, we have been able to actually build a lot of rapport with them and try to find out some common interests that we have. But let's think about this as one step at a time, a listing appointment. One of the first things that we want to do is to tour the house. And then second, ask probing questions and discover even more about their motivation. Are there problems? Well, now we say problems, and think about the fact that people do have problems a lot of times, and that's the reason that they want to sell their house. And then we want to be able to do our listing presentation, which is to present the solutions. Now, after that, we're going to be talking about pricing. And why does it come in this order? We'll talk about that. But step one, tour of the house. As you look around the house, let's discuss the positives and the negatives. Now think about this. As I have walked up to the front door of the house for my listing appointment, I have been looking at all the outside of the house. And I'm seeing positives and I'm seeing negatives there. Is it in a good neighborhood? Do the houses in the neighborhood show well? Is this an eyesore to the neighborhood? Or does it stand out as being a wonderful listing because it is actually in good condition, apparently from the outside of the house, and the whole neighborhood looks good? So we're going to be summing it up before we ever get in to see the inside of the house, thinking about it from the outside perspective. But as we're walking to the front door, we're looking up and we're looking all around, looking at the eaves and of the house, and just trying to see anything that would be a negative that you need to talk to the sellers about when you go inside. We're looking at the front door. Think about that. Because the front door is something that any buyer prospect is going to have an opportunity to look at sometimes for a couple of minutes while the agent is getting the key and opening the door to get in the house. Does the front door have a lot of fingerprints on it? Does it need paint? If it's a stained door, is it badly worn from the sun, or does it need some more stain on or some new finish on the front door? That's a negative if it does. So we need to talk to the seller about that. As we are touring the house on the inside, we'll also be talking with them about the outside. And as we're looking around the house, let's discuss the negatives as we go along. And then start using assumptive close as we're going along also. And then the second step is going to be finding out what is the problem. What is their motivation? Why do they need to sell this house? We're finding out Are they truly motivated? Yes, if it's a good listing. If they're not motivated, then it is probably a listing that you don't need to even worry about. Step 3 is going to be to present the solution. And in presenting the solution, we're going to talk about what we can do for the sellers in putting their house on the market and finding out the problem. We have asked probing questions during the time that we had that opportunity, and we're going to recap their problem. We're going to feed back to them what we have heard them say, and then our listing presentation should really show that solution to the problems that they have, and why we're the right person and the right company to go ahead and list their house. Let's not talk price until they're really sold on doing business with us. Sold on doing business with your company. Because some people are looking for price only, and they're looking for the agent that will give them the highest price. Some of these sellers are going to say, drop a competitive market analysis off in my mailbox or at my front door, and I'll get back in touch with you. That's not the way to do it. That's not what you want to do, because they're wanting to use your services. Sometimes just use your services for free, and that is not the way that we need to do it. Remember, we said earlier that there's no exact competitive market analysis. So when we are giving that competitive market analysis, we need to be there to interpret that competitive market analysis and talk about the pros and the cons there. So never talk price until they're sold on you and your company, and then that's the time to bring the price up. Step 4 is the close. It requires a decision. And also, is that decision going to be yes or no? Well, if you've done a good job, if this is a motivated seller, then the decision is going to be yes. Suppose they're not motivated, and you give them a price that is market value, but they're just testing the market, then probably the decision's going to be no. But we do find what the answer is right then and there as our 4th step. It does require a decision, yes or no. So think about this. Let's talk about this with our sellers. Before beginning anything, we must go ahead and disclose Alabama agency law, RECAD. Now, I might do it similar to this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, before we begin, I must tell you that we have an agency law in the state of Alabama. It's for the consumer's protection, and before we decide to work together on marketing your home, please do not give me any confidential information. Now, we're saying before we decide that we're going to work together. That means I have a say in it also. Think about that. You have a say in it. If this is someone that you have discovered is going to be extremely hard to work with, they're not motivated, they won't price the house right, they won't let you make suggestions to them about the condition of the house, and they might not cooperate with you on putting the house in good condition. Or maybe the house has long-haired dogs in it that the house smells very bad, a pet odor. Is this a listing that you want? So you see, you have a choice, and as well as the sellers have a choice. So that's the reason we want to put it to them before we decide to work together. Then don't give me any confidential information. you're telling them about the agency law, RECAD, and saying, let's don't exchange confidential information until such time as we have decided to work together. Disclose RECAD by using the little consumer brochure and the mandatory RECAD form. The little consumer brochure that you have and that you want to pass a copy on to them actually gives the details on single agency, dual agency, transaction brokerage, and you need to know exactly how to present that to sellers as well as to buyers. We're presenting this to all of the consumers that we work with. And this must be really the first step before gaining confidential information. And then we're just going to go right on in to the other parts of it. But paraphrase the disclosure and make sure that the seller is comfortable with your disclosure and has the time to ask questions. You know, one of the keys to working satisfactorily with sellers or buyers or any consumer as far as that's concerned is to make them feel comfortable. They've got to feel very, very comfortable and feel that they can trust you in order for this transaction to be successful at all. So give them the agenda. Before we begin, I would like to explain the process I'll go through, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I would like for you to show me through your house. But let's look at it in the way that a buyer will look at it. So show me the good and show me the bad so I can look at your home objectively. How does that sound? And then step 2, we'll be asking a lot of questions. I need to do this in order to find out information about your house. And so also I need to know what you're trying to accomplish. Is that all right? So we're asking for permission again to ask questions. Remember when we had them on the telephone, we were asking a lot of questions. But we can never get enough information on the telephone. So we've got to ask a few more questions here too. And then step 3, then I would like to share with you why so many people have successfully chosen my company and what I will do to market your home. What I'll do that is unique in the business to market your home. Because here is where you're going to be giving your marketing plan, and you need to have everything so set out that there will be a difference between you and another agent that might come along that is giving a listing presentation too. You've got to decide what is unique about you that will make people want to do business with you. And that's something that we really need to concentrate on. And then, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'll give you all the facts that you need to make a logical decision about the price that you will want to sell your home for. As a matter of fact, I'll even show you an estimate of what you might expect to net from the sale of your home. I know that that will be important to you, right? And yes, it is important to them. If you think about someone that hasn't sold a house in a long time, let's say an 80-year-old lady that is living in a house that she's lived in for 45 or 50 years, and you tell her that the price, according to the competitive market analysis on her house, should be around $279,000. She thinks that she is going to actually walk away from a closing table with $279,000 as a general rule. And many people would want to know what is going to be the bottom line as far as I'm concerned. So it is important for us to be able to give an approximate net that a person would come up with. And that is company policy in many cases. Now, of course, at contract time, it is the law that we give the net to them. The company would, and the agent would have to give the estimated net sheet to the sellers to show what they would net out of it at contract time. But company policy does dictate to us that we give an estimated net at the time that we're listing a property. Step 5. After that, I'll answer any questions that you might have, and we'll go over the listing form together. Is that all right, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? So you see, you are actually making them comfortable all the way. You're asking them questions, and is this okay? Is this a good time? And you're getting their permission in many cases to ask the questions. So you're making them feel very comfortable and at ease. And actually, this could be a very day-to-day for you to give listing presentations, and we hope that it does become day-to-day. But it is not day-to-day for these sellers. And many sellers are thinking about, this is my home. I've got heartstrings tied around this particular property, and I just don't want to sell this property, but I'm being transferred out of town or out of state, and I've got to sell the property. So they're not at ease, and we want to do everything that we can to make them feel comfortable and at ease. And you know, communication skills are so important. So communicating with them in the way that they want to be communicated with is just so important, and we need to think about that and how we are going to make them feel at ease.